which are not well-founded at all, and to export them to imbecilic interviewers like the one that we currently sit in front of.
I think everyone can work out who the imbecile is. Everyone can work out who the imbecile is.
He blows whichever way the wind takes him.
Okay, thank you very much, Benjamin.
Will be remembered.
If you don't shut up, we are going to cut your mic. So if I were you, shut up and let Yotam have the last word.
I work with many of the hostage families.
Oh, shut up, please. Yotam.
You do not speak for them.
All right, cut his mic, please.
You do not speak for them.
Cut his mic.
All right, before this explodes, you need the context. This is Piers Morgan hosting a Gaza debate that completely derails. One guest is Benjamin Anthony. Benjamin isn't just a commentator, he's a former IDF soldier and a current IDF reservist, and he's on the show to respond to an op-ed written by another guest, Yotam. Yotam has just left the IDF and has come forward as a whistleblower, claiming to expose what he says is really happening inside Gaza. So this matters. This isn't two pundits shouting, it's a former soldier turned whistleblower versus a current reservist defending the IDF's conduct. And the fight centers on one thing, casualty numbers. Watch how quickly it collapses.
Well, I think my criticism is rather endless, if I may say so. First of all, I'm deeply disappointed by the fact that he has relied exclusively upon the evidence put forward by the so-called Gaza Health Ministry, who we all know is Hamas, when it comes to identifying the number of people who have been killed inside the Gaza Strip. There's no reason to take the word of a terror organization, and I'm very disappointed that he's decided to do so.
How many do you think have been killed?
I think approximately 30,000 people have been killed.
Well, hang on. Well, okay, but hang on. Sorry, Benjamin. All due respect.
No. You asked me to respond.
I'm sorry, but just
I want to respond.
Well, yes, but you can't just.
I've watched you do this. You interrupt all the time.
No, I don't.
And you throw out these red herrings.
You said something I have to challenge.
Have been killed. I've answered you. I want to finish responding to your earlier question. Okay. And then you can ask me whatever you want.
No, actually, that's not how this works. Sorry, no. If you say something I want to challenge, I will challenge it. If you don't want to be challenged on it, that's fine.
Not once.
You don't have to answer my question.
Not once did you interrupt Yotam.
It doesn't matter what I did with my other guest.
Fire away.
I asked you how many have been killed. You have set the death toll. You mean the total death toll is 30,000? Is that what you just said?
No. If you'd let me finish without interrupting with a question, you might understand my answer in full. The estimates are that there are approximately 30,000 Hamas fighters who have been killed. Now, that is a very reasonable number. By the way, there are more to be killed, and I'm very pleased that the Israel Defense Forces continues to take the fight to these terrorists inside the Gaza Strip in the careful, principled manner that we do, that I'm sure that Yotam did, that I'm sure that Yotam's peers did, and that I'm confident will continue to do as we ratchet up the pressure against Hamas in Gaza City in the event that the trigger is pulled on that operation.
Sorry, but just to be clear, what is the total number then of civilians who've been killed?
So the estimate currently is that there is something in the realm of one terrorist killed, and in that context, 2 civilians killed. So that's a very, very low ratio.
So 60,000 civilians have been killed?
Those would be the estimates, right?
So your death toll. So you just to be clear.
No, but let me explain.
No. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I will now say something. You won't just filibuster me. What you've just said, if I may be clear.
Piers, my death toll. Listen to me. It's very important. You don't have to become animated. My death toll is broken down terrorists to civilians. Now, I think in a battlefield, in a combat zone, that's a pretty important caveat to have when throwing out numbers.
But just to be clear, you said that the Hamas
do you want me to go on to refute other things that Yotam said or not?
You said that the number that the Gaza Health Ministry, which is Hamas-run, that their numbers were wrong. But unless I'm mistaken, your total numbers are higher than theirs. You've just said 2 to 1. Civilians
what I'm saying about the Gaza Health Ministry, Piers, I think this is a very simple point. I don't understand why it's struggling to be understood by you. What I'm saying about the Gaza Health Ministry, and this is something that's been part of this war since the beginning of the conflict, is that there's absolutely no differentiation between terrorists who have been killed and civilians who have been killed. It has to be taken into account. It's not in the op-ed. You asked me to respond.
So
to
how
the
many
op-ed.
civilians have been
No.
killed, do you think?
I've answered your question.
What's the number?
I've answered your question.
Give me the number.
No, I've answered your question.
I'd like you to give me a
I gave you
number.
a very clear ratio. And one of your great errors is that you continue.
I tell you what, don't worry about my interviewing skills.
You oversimplify
You worry
the
about your
dynamics
maths.
of a battlefield.
Okay,
Pardon me?
how many civilians have been killed?
I've answered you about Hamas.
What's the number?
I've then given you the ratio. You can go away and do the mathematics.
No, you can do the
I have
maths.
told you. No, I've told you. I've answered you.
Tell me.
I've answered you.
Tell me the
I've
number.
answered you.
Why won't you tell me how many civilians have been killed?
Why won't you take my earlier answer?
Give me the number.
It's approximately 2 civilians per enemy combatant.
Okay,
That's
so
a very,
let me
very
stop
good
you.
ratio.
Let me stop you.
I'm confident.
So in other words, 60,000 civilians have been killed. Is that what you're saying?
Piers, I've said it to you before. Other people have said this to you. These are estimates. Nobody knows with any certainty.
But you just
By
said
the way,
60,000.
No, hang on. Including me, including the Hamas Authority, including
Benjamin,
the Gaza
I don't think
Health
you realise
Authority.
what you've said.
You'll have to. No, I realise
Your
exactly
numbers are
what I've
much
said.
higher than the Gaza-run health ministry. Do you not understand what you've told me?
No, I understand very, very well.
2
what I've told
civilians
you.
to 1
I'm talking
terrorist,
about-
30,000 terrorists, 2 times that is 60, that's 90,000 people have been killed. That is way higher than the numbers given by the Gaza Health Ministry, which you've tried to say are wrong.
First of all, it's not higher. These are the numbers that Yotam quoted in an op-ed that is back in August.
You
right?
just
Your
told
viewers
me,
need to know that this
you just
opinion
told me
piece
2
was written
civilians for every
on the
terrorist killed.
20
You said
this opinion
30,000
piece was
terrorists,
written in
therefore your
August
total is over
2025.
90,000. The Gaza Health Ministry
This,
isn't
again,
that high.
This opinion
This is where Benjamin Anthony's argument should be strongest. His core claim is actually very common in Israeli security circles, that the Gaza Health Ministry numbers can't be trusted because the ministry is run by Hamas and it doesn't distinguish between civilians and combatants. That criticism isn't fringe. A lot of analysts agree distinctions matter. So Piers Morgan does the obvious thing. He says, fine, what numbers do you believe? And Benjamin gives them. He says around 30,000 Hamas fighters have been killed. Then he says the ratio is roughly 2 civilians for every fighter. Now, here's where this stops being political and becomes mathematical. 2 civilians for every fighter means 30,000 combatants and 60,000 civilians. That's 90,000 total deaths, which is significantly higher than the Gaza Health Ministry figures he's just dismissed as exaggerated. And this is why Piers keeps pressing him, not because he's anti-Israel, not because he's siding with Hamas, but because Benjamin has just argued that the official numbers are fake, but the real numbers are far worse. And instead of stopping to clarify, which any serious military analyst would do, Benjamin refuses to give a clear civilian number. At that point, the debate isn't about Gaza anymore. It's about whether the person defending the IDF can defend his own arithmetic. And once that cracks, everything else follows.
I just think, Yotam, the reason I've kept pursuing this is because obviously if your opening gambit is that you, Yotam, are using numbers which are false because they're exaggerated, because the Gaza Health Ministry cannot be believed because it's Hamas-run. But then Benjamin Anthony gives a much higher figure for the number of people who've died in total, including Hamas terrorists and civilians, then you can understand my bemusement, which is why I spent 15 minutes trying to get him to explain why his numbers are way higher than the official Gaza Health Ministry
that's
numbers.
Not what occurred.
Yes.
That's not what
Yotam,
occurred.
over to you.
I'm trying to explain the context and you're trying to skip over.
Actually, you know
Please,
what, Benjamin? You're talking complete bullshit. So,
there you go. A repeat.
and this
of
is
your
what happens.
tactic
And I know what's going to
against
happen.
Natasha
You're going to
Housdorf.
run off
You do
and you're going to
not
say,
want
I
to have a
shouted at you
discussion.
and I said
You don't want to have a
bullshit, and you're going to play the
discussion. What you
victim.
want to
But
do
actually,
is
it really
steamroll over
matters
people
that you talk
who
bullshit.
do not agree with you. People don't agree with you, Piers, and you will not discuss anything.
No,
with
I'm
them.
happy to agree
What
with
you'll
you.
do is you'll
Your
throw
numbers
out
are
a
higher
canard
than Hamas's.
like people talking BS.
Yeah,
it's not the case. Everybody knows it's not the case.
Yes.
And I'm not here.
I know,
I'm not
Benjamin,
here
I
to
know,
have
I know.
you
I know.
attempt
I know.
to bully or
I
to
know.
steamroll.
You
I'm
poor
happy to
little
hear your
victim.
Tam. I
Play
know,
the little
no,
victim.
I'm a victim of nobody, Piers.
You're a
I'm
victim of your own
nobody.
maths.
You are a victim of seeking endless popularity and vindication
Yeah.
by the masses, having no spine, having no principles, and
Okay.
having no courage.
Thanks, Benjamin.
You are a victim, Piers Morgan. I am far from a victim.
Okay.
The
Well, I'm
people
very
of
glad
Israel
we
are
got
far
you
from
on to
victims.
confirm.
And by the way, with regard to your Tam, I just want to say something to your viewers. Yotam, unlike you, I am not scared about the future of Israel. I'm confident about the future of Israel. I'm very secure in the future of Israel. I believe in the future of Israel. I'm proud of the actions of the Israel Defense Forces inside the Gaza Strip and everywhere else that we've been called on to fight our corner, because nobody else will. You've made a dreadful folly by taking conversations that you know take place regularly and often in reserve duty among friends.
I'll give the final word to
from the
Yotam.
left and from the right.
Yeah.
And you have decided to take your own concerns, your own insecurities, and your own fears, which are not well-founded at all, and to export them to imbecilic interviewers like the one that we currently sit in front of.
I think everyone can work out who the imbecile is. Everyone can work out who the imbecile is.
He blows whichever way the wind takes him.
Okay,
That
thank
is
you
your
very much,
area,
Benjamin.
Yotam. It will be remembered.
If you don't shut up, we are going to cut your mic.
Yotam,
So
I'll
if I
just
were
tell
you,
one
shut up
other
and let
thing.
Yotam have the last word.
I
Yotam.
work with many of the hostage
Oh, shut
families.
up, please.
You
Yotam.
do not speak for
All
them.
right, cut his mic,
You
please.
do not speak for
Cut his
them.
mic.
I work with the...
And this is where it fully implodes. Instead of clarifying his figures, Benjamin Anthony goes on the attack. He insults Piers, calls him spineless, accuses him of chasing popularity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're going to dismiss whistleblowers, NGOs, and health ministries for exaggeration, you cannot then present higher casualty estimates and refuse to own them. That's not bias being exposed, that's credibility collapsing. And when numbers don't survive scrutiny, the argument turns personal, which is why this ends with Piers cutting the mic. So here's the real question. Was Piers Morgan right to force clarity from a serving IDF reservist, or did this debate spiral because Benjamin Anthony couldn't reconcile his own claims? Pick a side in the comments. See you in the next one.